Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick little video for people who play the Danish Gambit. So the Danish Gambit is e4, e5, d4, he takes d4, and then we play c3. Now, most people are going to accept it just based off the Lee chess database. And then you'll play bishop c4, and then usually they accept. Now there's a lot of opportunities to decline, but these are the most played moves. And then most people are going to give this check, right? But they also have the option of playing knight f6 or knight c6. And hold on, if they play, so like d6 was like if they declined it, but most people are going to play this check, and then you're going to block like this, and then people are playing knight f6 or takes. And in most lines, or in both lines, whether they play knight f6 or takes, they should take this knight. And only 8% of the line is knight c6. And as you can see, I think it was right here. If they play knight c6 here, the percentage right now is 59%. All the other ones are a little bit better for black. So anyway, here, and then here players will play multiple things. Like they'll go for this line where they sack and they get the bishop back. Or they'll play e5. I can't remember what the engine said. Yeah, so it's kind of hard. You don't have a lot of options. You either have to play here, takes, e5, but the engine says it's pretty bad, right? If they play knight f6. If they play knight c6, then you have a little more options. You can play knight f3 here, is what I suggest, and you'll get really good games. As you can see, the score now after playing knight f3. I haven't looked at the other lines, but the main point is if you play this position right here is the Göring Gambit. So let me just show you. So let me switch here real quick. So the Göring Gambit is e4, e5, and then play knight f3, knight c6. And these are the most played moves, I believe. I think this is the most common line in all of chess. e4, e5, yep. And then here, we're going to play the Scotch. Right here, we're going to play the Scotch. And let's turn the engine just to show you. Best move, have to take. And then we're going to play the Göring Gambit. Now, here they have a lot of options to decline, but most played is takes, and in the Danish, they have options to decline as well. If you look at Masters, most times they will decline the Gambit just because there's so many deadly traps. And here, if you're going into a Danish, or if you go here, right, you're going to go straight into a Danish. So they could play knight. They have a lot of options, but most commonly played are takes. This would be just like a Danish, right? So like let's say they take. But now, if you think about it, we have a knight here and a knight here. What does this mean? Well, if they played knight c6, let's go back. If they played knight c6 here, didn't give a check, then we could develop our knight here. So this is basically the same position, right? It's the exact same. So with this move order and playing the Göring Gambit, so with the move order of playing, wrong tab, with playing knight f3 first and then going for the Gambit, we've gotten this knight here and we've gotten our knight out here, which is actually good for us. So Let's say they give a check, which is the best move, right? Here. And as you can see, they don't have two really good options in this position. And they're both pretty much the same line, which is once you castle, you'll take, or you take and then play knight f6. What's crazy here is if they don't take here, they're already in a really bad spot. So let's say they castle. There's a ton of traps in this position right here. If they take, they're already losing. They only have two moves. They have here, which is pretty, like, who's going to play that, you know? Let's look at the percentage. 19 games in League Chess. In the master database, everyone goes here. They just give the bishop back. And Stockfish will play this as well. Other engines might play this, but when they play this, they get into a lot of trouble. So that's the main thing. I recently did a video about an amazing game that resulted from this specific position. And it was an amazing game with great sacrifices. But as you can see, I'll show you just the trap. Like if they play here, it's just you have way too much activity. So you can play multiple moves according to the engine. Is Queen C2 a move? Yeah, it is. Okay. But let's try to make sense of it. So what's Queen C1 do? Well, I would assume we're bringing... We'll just look at the line. I'm assuming you're just bringing the queen into the attack. Let's say they just bring the rook. Okay, yeah, we're going to slide the queen over. That's the whole idea. We've got all of our bishops and knights targeted at the king. So even though the engine was looking at this, I would say forget about, as you can see, bishop d3 and queen c2 score extremely high. People were losing f6, but I mean f6 just runs right into a check. And you just bring all your pieces in. But let's look at the full line just to get an idea of how the game could go. Just gonna play quick moves. They may not be that accurate because it's gonna be low depth, but wow. So already here you play knight g5, and let's look at what we're threatening. We're threatening this. We'll have, let's see if they don't take. I want to see what the second best move is. Okay, let's say they try to defend like this. Okay, I'm not paying attention. This knight is hanging, and we're threatening this. So if they go here, like if this, let's say they go there, we have all our bishops and knights and rooks staring at the king. Trades, I would think just knight takes makes more sense. You take, and then apparently rook takes is more accurate, but let's just go here. Say they try to block the bishop. They just can't defend the queen, they can't defend the king, and they can't get their other pieces in the game at the same time. So this is how this gambit is extremely deadly. But the main thing to take away from this video is that if you're gonna play the Danish, or if you play the Danish, use this line instead with the Göring Gambit, and you'll have two options. If you like the double Danish, you can play knight c4, and again they can still decline it, or you can play knight takes, which would be a little different for you, but in this line it's much better. Seeing the Danish, if you play knight takes, it's not as good, and it's because this knight is not here and your knight is not there. Knight takes here. Look at the engine. And he gives bishop c5. Let's see what the most played moves are. White still does well. But as you can see, black has a lot of options. Now let's look at the Göring Gambit. See, what's their best percentage? Or let's look at the top one. Okay, most people play knight c6, and it's 53 to 43%. Now let's look at the Göring Gambit. So let's look again. 53 to 43. Top line for Lichess is 56 to 40. So you can already see white scores much better when the knight is on here. Let's see. Knight c6 is apparently the second best move. That's kind of weird. Why? Let me just look again. I see. I think it's because people are not playing knight f3. Yeah. People play a bunch of different moves. Makes sense. So that's the only reason the percent is down. It's pretty much the same. Okay. But yeah. I think this move order is just way better. Just because it's a bit more I would say accurate in a sense that you're forcing this knight here and you're getting your knight there, which is always a good move. So that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.